Hello everybody! In this video I will show you some of my Orgonite creations that I've made over the last year. And yeah, a short ad at the beginning, I also do sell some of them in my Etsy shop if you're interested. And if you are in a country that I normally don't ship, you can contact me on Etsy and we will find a solution. And I will put a link in the description where you can find it. So, now let's start. I will just talk a bit about every of this creation you will see in the video, and I've cut the video footage down to a relatively short length so it is easier to watch for you, and I will just talk what comes to my mind when I see these Orgonite creations and give you a bit of information of how I made them. And if you have any specific questions, you can ask, of course. So with this and the last one you saw, these I made in a kind of plastic bowl, and they have a half sphere shape. And the one you see right here is it's actually made with glow-in-the-dark materials. You can't see them right now, but there will be pictures in the video following where you can see this. And as you can also see, there are some tensor rings around in multiple layers. And here's a picture of one layer of it where you can see, you can get an idea how I make them. And here is some footage of it in the night. It looks really cool in the night, I think. Glows in different colors. And next piece, this is my latest creation of this shape. And I've given thought to it, how I place the tensor rings and these copper-coated steel balls around it. And also there are magnets in the middle layer. You can't see it right now, but it is the silver looking layer between the brass and the copper. There are the magnets in these 6 magnets in a hexagonal pattern. These are just to boost the Orgonite itself. And here is kinda the same, but just in a smaller shape. It's built kinda the same like the bigger one, also with 6 magnets in it. It's just a smaller piece. And what I've done here is also I have these tensor rings above, 2 on the top and 1 bigger on the bottom. And I've built it layer by layer with crystals and metals and bigger crystals on the inside, which you can't see from the outside, of course. So it's not just small crystal bits in this, there are also bigger crystal and a big quartz crystal tip in the inside. And here you can see kind of a masterpiece I've made. This is also a big piece of Orgonite at the bottom, and then a big selenite piece that is sticking out of there, and out of there comes a copper spiral that winds around the selenite piece, and on top of this I've made a copper rose with leaves and so on. I've made this out of a thin copper sheet. And here you can see the Orgonite piece at the bottom a bit better. It's made with lots of different crystals and also metals, as you can see here. Gold and copper, lots of fine copper, as you will see later. And now we go to the top, you will get a better look of the rose itself. I've annealed the copper sheet a bit, so when I put it, when it's hot in water, it will cool down very fast and create these very beautiful looking colors. As you can see on the leaves, it makes cool patterns of colors, which make the whole piece a bit more interesting, I think. And also it protects it from corrosion. And here at the bottom piece of the Orgonite, you can see between the copper layer and the bottom layer I have lots of amethyst crystals placed around here. And as I turn it, you will see the different amethyst pieces, which have a very nice pattern, I think. So yeah, I've placed them just around in a circular pattern. And the next piece you see here is my big pyramid that was also seen in the other video of mine. And yeah, this pyramid was made very special with lots of different layers, and in between the metal layers there's always like crystal arrays with different crystals. Some are transparent, like in the middle layer you can see here. The layer where brass is on top, there are transparent quartz crystal tips, so you can't actually see them, but it's full of crystals actually where it seems hollow. And there are also magnets placed in a pyramidal shape inside. And right in the heart of the pyramid, or in the center, there is a selenite crystal egg, a big one. This is kind of, yeah, I would call it the heart of the pyramid. And on top, you can see here, under this gold-plated copper pyramid, there is a quartz crystal tip wrapped in some gold-coated copper wire, and also tensor rings in all the layers. And here we have a smaller piece. This was one of my first ones, but I think it's also quite beautiful, so I showed it. This is just different layers of different metals on the bottom, and also crystals in it, of course, more in the center. And on the top you see lots of black tourmaline, amethyst, rose quartz, and quartz crystal chips, and also quartz crystal tip in the middle, and a lot of copper on the bottom. And now we are at the part where I show you my Dodecahedrons. This is a platonic shape I find very interesting and beautiful, so I've made quite a lot of these. And this was actually my first one I made. And yeah, you can see here how I make them in multiple layers. The bottom is usually fine copper, and on the outside it appears that there are no big crystals inside, but that's not true. In the inside there are a lot of big crystals, so it's not all just metal. Here's the next one. On the top we have amethyst, and on the side green aventurine, and in the middle a big quartz crystal tip, which is transparent and you can see it in the resin, of course, but it's there where the copper coil is. And on the bottom side faces there is orange calcite, and also on all corners there is pyrite, and lots of stainless steel boards. So these pieces are quite heavy. Each of these dodecahedrons weighs more than 1.5 kilograms, which is quite heavy for this size. And in this piece you see here, I have a big green aventurine piece on top, and on the side faces you see amethyst, and then on the side corners there are pieces of black tourmaline. So yeah, I like to work in symmetric shapes and patterns. As you can see here, also on the bottom there is a copper spiral, and on the corners, of course, these pyrite crystals. And here is my next piece. For the top face I've chosen a very beautiful looking amethyst piece. A nice pattern, as you can see here, and the rest is just let's say a wild mix of different materials. So I've just pre-mixed lots of iron and copper and brass, and also different crystals. And on the bottom side faces there is sodalite. This is the blue crystal you can see. And other than that, it's just various materials I normally use, just mixed wild together. And here, this is my latest creation of dodecahedrons. Also a very beautiful piece, I think. On the sides it's sodalite, on the top you have a rose quartz piece, and the bottom side faces you will see in a few seconds. The red ones, this is red Jasper, and yeah, from the pattern it's also layer of crystals and then various metals again. On the bottom copper coil, of course. And in the center always a quartz crystal tip. And now we are here at the smaller pieces I've made. They are normally called tower busters, but I actually don't like that name, so I don't call it like this. So what you see on the top, we have a tensor ring and then a pattern of stainless steel balls and copper coated stainless steel balls. And this is one of my first creations, so it's not that beautiful. It has optical imperfections, but it doesn't hurt it, or it works just as fine as every other one. And yeah, here is another one of my first batch that I've made. This one is with a lot of amethyst crystals. And yeah, from the first batch I've actually made some pictures of the multiple layers that I've built them. And yeah, these pictures will follow right now, so you get an idea of how I built these first two. Here is the first layer, and then I filled it up with some crystals, as you can see here. This is how I like to do the second layer. Then I filled it up with quartz dust and quartz crystal chips. This is another creation, so I made kind of different ones. And yeah, here you see I already filled it up with a bit of copper, and of course there's more copper added to it, and here is iron powder added to it, and then brass powder or fine brass pieces, like you can see here. Then zinc coated steel and stainless steel balls and shungite, important, it's everywhere in there. And then I filled it up with resin and shungite and ferrite mix. And this is my next iteration or the next batch I've made. This one already turned out more beautiful, I think, with less imperfections, as you can see in the pattern on the top. This also glows in the dark. This is the white layer you see under or the second layer you see under the top layer. This is some glow in the dark material. And other than that, yeah, fused, as you can see, copper, brass, steel. And also in this one I used the first time magnets. So also this is the next iteration, and right in the center there is always placed a 10mm diameter disc magnet that is 3mm in height, so it's kind of a small magnet, but this is strong enough for a piece like this. And yeah, also the strength of the magnet is important. With this piece, you can see here, I've used an N42 magnet, and the next iteration you will see right now, I think. This is here. It looks kind of the same, but it has some small changes. There is a stronger magnet, the N52 magnet in it, and also it has some glow-in-the-dark materials under the stainless steel balls, so it glows beautifully in the night, like blue glow. And yeah, I've just refined it a bit, so it's a bit stronger than the piece you saw before, but they're basically both strong and good, and I do sell both of them on my Etsy shop. And here some other creations I've made. This is a female body sculpture, and I've made 3 pieces of them so far. The base structure, I've printed it with a 3D printer, and after that I've made the mold for it myself with some silicone, and then I filled it up with resin and crystals and a wild mix of various materials, and I've also placed magnets in them. So it took a lot of work to polish them up so that they look like this, but I think they turned out really beautiful. And yeah, because of the magnet and the mix of the materials, they are also quite strong in their energetic field. This was the first one I've made. As you can see on the top, it has a lot of bubbles that turned out like these white points. And yeah, this was just because of this form itself. The resin formed a lot of bubbles, but it looks quite nice, I think. And yeah, here you can see another one I've made. It has basically quartz crystals, shungite, black tourmaline, and pyrite, and lots of stainless steel balls, brass and copper in it. So these are not for sale, unfortunately. I just wanted to show you them. And for the finish of this video, I will show you just some small pieces I've made. I basically made them with some leftover resin I had when I built other ones, so I wouldn't waste any resin. And yeah, this is just to show you what you can do with leftover materials. So I made this small one, it's also quite nice. And I've also made bigger ones that I started with leftover materials, and then I decided to finish them up and make real nice organ pieces out of it, because I think this shape that I used here is also, yeah, I like it because you can hold it in your hand very well, and of course there are also magnets in them. So yeah, I think they are really well to hold in your hand, and other than the bigger ones that you just can't hold in your hand so easy. Also made slightly different variations of it. In the bottom you see kind of a wild mix of different materials, blue apatite and yeah, copper, brass, steel and so on, the usual materials. And on the top it's filled with a shungite mix, and that is filled with a lot of iron. And as you can see on the bottom, it has a kind of a cavity. This is just because of the mold. It was this shape. And yeah, the shape of the Orgonite also determines a bit of the shape of the field, and this is why I find this one, especially this one I show you here, very interesting, and I like to hold them in the hand. It also has 2 magnets inside of them, and it's also a wild mix that looks very pretty, I think. These are energetically very strong. And yeah, this is basically the last piece I will show you here. So I hope you enjoyed watching and get some ideas of how you can build your own. And yeah, thanks for watching. Goodbye.